Hello guys, welcome to Ink 33. This channel contains the spoilers of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. If you have not watched the previous episode, the link is down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on the notification for the update. And without further ado, let's continue the story. Final Decisive Battle Part 4. I had the mass of energy in my hand with soul consumption, then steadily poured and isolated it into my imaginary space. It seemed that I had appeared as if I were aiming for the right timing, but obviously I didn't. It was a coincidence. Even though it might not appear so, I was actually busy with various things. Since things inside the labyrinth had settled down, I thought that I would also be going to subjugate Velda. But, for some reason, my energy wasn't recovering. No, I felt that my energy had decreased rather than increased after the recovery. I thought it would be risky to challenge Velda like that, so I decided to recover my energy first. As there were a large number of angels in the sky, I decided to kill and eat them. It could be said that Kumara had great timing as she returned with transfer just at the right moment, and so we commenced a simultaneous attack. As the labyrinth army was superior, we were overwhelming in the fight. Firstly, the subordinates of Kumara's pets attacked all at once from the surroundings. As a result, the angel army, which was aiming at the labyrinth's entrance, fell into disorder and a big gap was made. The labyrinth army shot it as if not to miss the timing. After that, it became a one-sided fight. It seemed that it was difficult for the angels, who all united under one will and turned into a powerful covering fort to deal with attacks from all directions. The commanders seemed to be quite capable, as the angels were shown to be able to denominate into corps switched to intercepting incoming attacks. But the stumble at the beginning was fatal. However, there is a problem before that. The difference in an individual's fighting power was too large. I might say so myself. Everyone from the labyrinth army was strong. Among them, Kumara, the 4 dragons kings, Apito, Treni-san, and her sisters were extraordinary. Kumara rampaged as if to relieve our stress. She tore and caught the angels freely with slashing attacks using her tails. With the 8 pairs spread out to defend her, there was no such thing as letting the enemies leave. From what I saw, the Dragon Kings were in high spirit. They used powerful breath and grand magic in their dragon form. Not only with her individual fighting strength, but Apito also commanded her subordinates like her limbs and annihilated the enemies. There was no other word except brilliant. They trampled over the enemy with the momentum of one sting, one kill through their perfect coordination. Fused with various spirits, the Dryad sisters were strengthened to former Demon Lord level. And the worst case was Treni-san, which had energy comparable to an awakened Demon Lord. It seemed that Treni-san had fused with a Spirit King. She fired extreme magic with tremendous power in a rapid succession. Just like that, in a short period of time, the outcome was clear to anyone. I was also worried at first, but halfway through the fight, I was while enjoying a cup of black tea. Well, after all, no matter how you look at it, our side's fighting power was too excessive and losing factors could not be found. as expected of the high-ranking warp potentials stationed on the 17th floor and below inside the labyrinth. Because they usually couldn't play an active role, their rampaging appearance when given the opportunity to do so was incredible. While looking at their appearances, I absentmindedly ended up thinking that it might be impossible to capture the labyrinth even with an army of a large country's size. But I will keep that a secret. Besides of their achievements of repelling the Imperial army, naturally everyone had become stronger from that time. But once things calm down, it will be better for me to discuss the adjustment of the labyrinth's difficulty. No matter how you thought about it, it was very unlikely for humans to be able to capture it. About the battle, when our victory was certain and only the enemy general was left. Ah, my son. So Shinji, who had become Ramiri's subordinate, muttered. It seemed the enemy's commander was an acquaintance of it. I heard stories not just from Shinji but also from Mark and Jen. The name of the enemy's commander was Furukimai. She obviously had the energy of an awakened Demon Lord class and ruled over the angels. However, she was originally a bit stronger than the three of them. Was she really just a bit stronger? So I strongly asked them. A bit. No, quite. Well, I have never won against her, but she was absurdly stronger. My abilities was the unique skill, Traveler. It's an absurdly strong cheat ability that allows her to use teleportation to places she had visited once. The combination of her skill and her long-range weapon was ruthless. So the three of them answered evasively. It seemed that the trio had never won even when together. From Shinji's last explanation, it was very unlikely for normal people to win against that skill. After all, even for me, to do teleportation without time lag was impossible unless I combined several abilities. It was natural that the trio couldn't win. She was an ordinary quiet girl and an high school student in Japan. As one of Yuki's henchmen, she had adored Yuki before he became Belda. She was very serious. Also, she seemed to believe in Yuki's word that he will finalize the repartition technique. I was told that she seemed to be worried about her younger brother that she had left on the other side and is constantly researching for a technique to cross between worlds. She was like that, but her unique skill, Traveler, was restricted to this world, and it seemed that she was unable to go to the other world. However, if she combined her unique skill, Traveler, and Yuki's Summoner, it seemed that crossing to another world wouldn't be just a dream. She believed that and cooperated with Yuki for all this time. Once I understood that, Shinji opened his mouth as if to say something but then closed it. Apparently, he had something he wanted to say. So I thought about and called him out. What, is there something you want to say? Ah, well, you see... Was it something really hard for him to say? He stopped speaking halfway through. Hey, that's impossible as expected. I also think that's not good. The other two stopped Shinji. I didn't know what he wanted to say, but I gradually became curious about it. Ah, I'm sorry, please forget about it. Jeez, can't you just say it? Because Shinji was hesitating to say it and tried to swallow his words, I decided to forcibly get him to talk. Then what he wanted to say was simple. It was, please, I want you to save Furukimai. It seemed that they were on good terms among other worlders because they came from the same country. Sorry, it's just my selfishness. I do understand that I am asking for the impossible with it, but... Shinji remorselessly apologized. Well, I was the one who asked him though. Wait a moment. Shinji, even Rimuru can't do anything about it. It will incite antipathy from everyone and he will not able to keep his dignity as a demon lord. When her subordinate started to say something outrageous, Ramirez came panicking to mediate the matter. Well, I wonder. I thought it wasn't something to be flustered about to that extent. After all, I was quite selfish myself. But we already knew that, right? Ha 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 ha, Ramirez-sama, our loyalty will not waver by such a thing. That's right, in the first place, if we care about such a thing, we will have massacred every hostile. However, that's not the case, right? That lazy demon lord over there was an enemy we fought until just a little while ago. Benimaru broad-mindedly denied Ramirez's concern, and Suna affirmed Benimaru's word while looking down at Dino, with eyes as if she was looking at rats. It seemed even Dino felt uncomfortable with that gaze, so he stopped lying down on the sofa and seated himself on a chair. And then, he nonchalantly nodded. So he stopped lying down on the sofa and seated himself on a chair. And then he nonchalantly nodded. Oh well, Rimuru won't mind about such a thing. So he tried to settle it with good vibes but got his head whacked with a tray by Suna. It kinda felt like, you are not someone who can say that, so he reaped what he sowed. So what will you do, Rimuru-sama? Should I order them not to deal the final blow for the time being? Benimaru asked me. Shinji and his group looked with hopeful eyes at me. There might be no need to discuss it since things had reached this point. If they were my companions, then they will know my answer even if I didn't say it. Rest assured, Shinji, if she swears not to be hostile towards me, I will save her. Really? Yes, however, if only if she's not hostile, okay? If so, then no problem. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. When I accepted the request, not only Shinji, but Mark and Jen also said their gratitude. I wish that they would have said it after I said mine. As expected of Rimuru, that's the spirit. Ramirez smacked my back while smiling from ear to ear. What a cheeky fellow. So I made a promise without due consideration as usual and went outside of the labyrinth to stop Mai. Well now, I left the rest of the things to Benimaru and flew towards the sky. I ordered Diablo, who was accompanying me, to go ahead. Leave it to me, I still buy time until Rimuru-sama arrives. Yeah, I leave it to you. It seems that the Heaven Gate has been destroyed, but as expected, those three wouldn't be able to defeat Belda after all. Looks like it. This present is indeed frightening. I will have to hurry a little. Saying so, Diablo transferred and went ahead. If it was the current Diablo, you will be able to buy some time until I arrive. I was a bit worried, but I decided to leave it to him. Either way, it was necessary to buy some more time. Since my energy was still recovering, I had to absorb a large amount of energy from the defeated angels. I thought that it would be fine if I were to pursue Mai while absorbing the energy. However, that thinking was naive. When I held up my hand and tried to absorb the energy with soul consumption, the energy quickly transferred and disappeared. It seemed that the angels were set up to return automatically to heaven when they got defeated. Because it can't be helped, I gave up on eating the angels and went towards Mai's position. Mai was actually strong. Even though they were fighting as not to kill her as Benimaru instructed, it seemed that no one could touch her. Trini-san didn't participate in the fight, but the Dragon Kings couldn't be her opponents. That alone was incredible, but it was a surprise that even Obito was being toyed with by Mai. as expected from someone who had mastered teleportation. Incredible. Without losing her spirit, even though the Enders were annihilated, Mai calmly continued fighting. She probably had an indomitable spirit. I could understand why Shinji and the others fell in love with her. Although normally someone would fall into this in a situation like that, she was still fighting while believing she could win. Judging from what I saw so far, teleportation was really troublesome. Even though Obito was superior in terms of speed, Mai dodged all of Obito's attacks. I guess there was no chance of victory for Obito here. However, Kumara will definitely win against Mai. But this time I will be her opponent. If it was Kumara, she will win, but she will definitely end up killing Mai. It has been a while, Rimuru-sama. Kumara, who noticed me, came flying and behaved like a spoiled child. She is cute, but currently it wasn't the time for it. Kumara, go deal with the remnants of the angels. Understood. Kumara obediently obeyed my order. It seemed that she was able to relieve some state with a bit of rampaging around. Obito, who was fighting against Mai, also noticed my presence and stopped her fighting to yield the fight to me. My strength was still not enough. I wanted to neutralize her without troubling Rimuru-sama, but Obito frustratingly bowed. Don't worry about it. Even if you access the things just from an energy standpoint, your opponent has more than twice of yours. If you think of it that way, you are incredible, you know. I said so and comforted her. Obito also joined Kumara. Both of them left to deal with the remnants of the angels. All that's left was for me to pursue Mai. I and Mai faced each other. Mai readied her bow and glared at me while breathing heavily. I see, she was a beautiful girl. Her aura was like Suna's. She had a beautiful black hair like a Japanese doll and sharp facial expression. She retained her dignified appearance and posture even though her fatigue should have accumulated. Her posture was of a lovely beautiful girl. However, there was some points to be worried about. The veins on her limb was bulging and torn apart here and there, making her bleed blood. It seems that she incarnated as an angel with a still living body. She probably fused with a serpent without reconstructing her body. It seems her body has begun to collapse as it can't withstand the energy. Shiel answered my questions. There was a limit for a human living flesh to accept the tremendous amount of energy of a spiritual life form, such as demon and angel. Not to mention, if it was with the highest ranking angel, Seraphim, they could not endure it unless it was with an awakened and carefully trained body of God-man class. If this girl named Furuki Mai was able to control the Seraphim's power while still in a living flesh, I could not have but to say that she has a tremendous willpower. Nice to meet you. I'm Rimuru. I see, it's you. My name is Fukari Mai. I don't have any grudge against you, but I will have you die for Yuki-kun. Yuki is already gone, you know. He's not Yuki now. He should be calling himself as Belda, though. Although her expression moved just for an instant to my question, Mai immediately regained her calmness. It doesn't matter, because I believe in Yuki-kun. If I defeat you, I can do my research in peace. I have to go back home no matter what it takes. I know that this is for my own egoism, but still, I have to defeat you. Saying so, Mai aimed her bow towards me without hesitation. She should have realized the collapse of her limbs, but Mai stared at me without breaking her concentration even once. She should have understood that she could not win, but panic could not be seen in her eyes. Remarkable, so I honestly thought. Mai was quite philosophical for her age. For one purpose, she threw away all her hesitations. Perhaps she just runs through the path she believes as her only option. Although I have heard about it once. Why do you want to go back? Why, you ask? You ask something strange. Do you think I am not worried about my family I left behind? Do you think we have to obediently obey orders even though we were summoned to this world without our permission? We are not treated as a human being and only are seen as a weapon. It won't hurt my heart even if such a world was destroyed. I want to return home, that's all. The other worlders quickly abandoned their homesickness, but Mike kept on holding on to it all this time without giving up. If you think about it, that might be reasonable. I gave up on it because I died, but that wasn't the case for the summoned people. Shinji and his group seemed to have given up easily, but that didn't mean they had no regrets. If they could go back, they wanted to go back. There's probably a lot of people like that. However, such magic didn't exist and there was no precedent of it too. Because every one of them could easily understand such reality, they just promptly gave up. Mai didn't give up because of her strong willpower, and she never lost hope because of her skill. Therefore, I had no other choice but to inform her of the cruel truth. That's impossible for now. Even if someone can come from the other side to this side, a way to go from this side to the other side has not been found yet. I know that. While that may be true, I can't give up. Besides, Yuki-kun will surely find a way to go back. Therefore, I will not give up. Mai shouted and fired an arrow. However, it was futile. I erased the arrow and continued talking. Like I said, Yuki is gone, you know. Velda and Yuki are different people. Besides, I think the one who summoned you is probably Yuki too. Mai's movement stopped when she heard my words, and then she shook her as if she didn't want to accept that. Shut up! I will have to stop you from confusing me. Stardust friend! She flew up to the corner of my side and fired her strongest technique while glaring at me. However, it was futile, because any emission type techniques won't work on me after all. I sucked all of the arrows into imaginary space. Thus, that was the current call. It can't be. Mai dropped her bow in despair. At last, she noticed the overwhelming difference in strength between herself and me. Listen, I don't have any intention to kill you. What's that? I was asked by Shinji and the others to save you. If they didn't, I would have bothered to go out because it's cumbersome. Could it be they were alive, Shinji-kun and the others? It seemed Mai received quite a shock when she heard my words. Well, actually, if I could show the difference in strength like this, she could understand that my words weren't a lie. There was no need for me to come out, as it was true that Kumara was stronger than Mai. Besides, certainly that it's impossible to cross over between the worlds, but you see, that's just for the time being. Huh? In the future, depending on the research, it might be possible to find a passage to another world, don't you think? Souls are circulating back and forth, aren't they? So is my partner reasoning. I think the possibility isn't zero, you know. Is that true? At least it will be more reliable than leaving it to Yuki. You can research it yourself, after all. When I stated so, Mai stared at me with eyes full of surprise. Did she also receive a shock because I told her that she could do the research herself instead of leaving it to others? Even so, I can't go back anymore. I accepted this power. I ended up accepting it. I believe in the small possibility that I can walk with the tremendous amount of energy. The result was a failure. My body is starting to collapse as it can't endure the angel's power. The only way left is to believe in Yuki-kun. Ah, she noticed it, didn't she? Evolving traveler, with the Seraphim's power she got and did a dimensional warp. That was probably Mai's aim. However, she failed to acquire the ability to walk between dimensions and was left with the only way, which was to believe in Yuki. Thus, she was someone who got deceived by Yuki from the start. That means, let me ask this just in case. Did Yuki say something like you may be able to go back? I think there's a possibility that your skill will evolve by fusing with an angel. However, the power is too strong and it might hurt you. So I don't recommend it. But what will you do? Do you? Also, don't tell me that you are fighting right now to return the favor to Yuki. So I said what I thought directly. Mai's reaction was dramatic. She opened her eyes wide and just stared at me without saying anything. It seemed I hit the bullseye, as that was probably similar to what Yuki told her. Hey, as I expected. That's a cylinder modus operandi, you know? Offering an incredible after and made the other party complain to them. That was exactly an old trick used by a swindler. There was a catch behind the tempting offer and they wouldn't encourage people to take the offer. It looked like they were giving options to the other party, but the other party actually only had one option to take. It was truly a street trick. Now that you mention it. Well, I think those who got deceived are at fault. From now on, you better not just relying on someone but also probably try to confirm things with your own thinking. I unintentionally ended up reprimanding Mai. It had no persuasive power at all since that came from me who always leaves things to other people. But Mai didn't know me well, so she took my advice to heart. Mai courageously held back her tears and frustratingly bit her lip. I understand what you are saying. There seems to be no point for me to be hostile to you. Either way, there is no chance for me to win. You could say it was my last selfishness. But may I ask you to deal with the final blow and put me at ease? Mai told me so and smiled fleetingly. She probably lost the willpower to live as she had lost her hope. Like I said, search for the way to go back yourself. It's too early to give up, don't you think? But I can't hold much longer. My body collapsed. I forgot. I said that embraced Mai's body, and then I thoroughly ate the seraphims that had fused with Mai's body with soul consumption. Seraphim had already been analyzed, so the work was completed instantly. Unfortunately, I didn't recover as much energy as I imagined, but I deemed things acceptable as I got to analyze Traveler without Mai's permission. Something like an unrestricted teleportation was an excellent super rare skill among unique skills. Even without my instruction, Shield Sensei the skill mania won't be silent. How's the analysis? Completed successfully. Acquired teleportation from Traveler. As expected of Shield Sensei, Mai also noticed that I had eaten the angel. She lost the ability to fly and naturally held onto my arms. What happened? As such, Mai got flustered and her face turned red. Opito, present. I called Opito and handed over Mai, who was in my embrace, to her. I don't think that the collapse of your body can be healed with potions, but if it's Shinji, he could heal it. You should ask him to get it healed. Mai was surprised and repeatedly opened and closed her mouth, but she looked at me as if she changed her mind. Moreover, for some reason, she had an expression that showed disappointment and unsatisfied. But she was determined on something. Thank you very much. I will never forget this favor for as long as I live, and surely I will find a way to go back. She declared that to me with a strong determination. That will do. As long as she had a goal in life, she will be free from despair. I thought that it would be better for her to live straightforwardly towards her goal rather than having a grudge towards Yuki. I nodded back to Mai and sprouted a small smile. What is with her gullible personality that believes me so easily like this? That was what I was worried about inside my mind. but some things are better left unsaid. Take her away. As you wish, my lord. Thus, I gave the order to Opito. Opito respectfully bowed towards me and left to take my away. Thus, the angel army that invaded the surface world was exterminated completely and our total victory was settled.